Alright, so I've had a bunch of people recently asking about the Dromai matchup. It's an interesting matchup. I really enjoy it. I don't think it's as bad as people say it is. So I played one earlier, and I figured I would go ahead and do some commentary over it. So yeah, I'm just going to jump right in. I lose the die roll, which kind of sucks. So my opponent has Draconic Providence, which isn't going to do too much, but it's kind of a note that I never actually want to attack with a physical attack, just because there's no real reason. Because he's got like 4 armor. So I'm just never... I probably wouldn't anyways, but just in general I don't want to attack him with it. Yeah, so he starts off with a blue Embermaw. Oh, also, I guess another thing I should add is I move my camera a lot on TTS, and I apologize. I know it bothers people, but it's just... I do it. I can't stop myself, so I apologize if it bothers you. So I don't like the Frost Hex game plan into this matchup. I board out most of my sigils. I only play 2 sigils in the matchup, so yeah. And I guess I could go for like Ice Eternal and stuff, but I'm just not that interested in it. I want to go for a more tempo game plan, and I need to get chip damage in early rather than burst later. The reason you go for a Frost Hex game plan is because your opponent has enough blues to be able to stop you from just tempoing them. Dromai does not, so there's no real reason to go for that game plan, in my opinion. So even here, when I have the opportunity, to have either Frost Hex or Chill down on turn 0, I'm going to take Chill every time. Because as the game gets later, as the board gets more out of control, I'm going to need to be able to use that Chill to make sure that I can stay in control of the game. So that's the block there. My opponent obviously did that because he just wants to get the Ash going. We have the Aether Ice Vein, which I'm not actually sure that this is correct. There's a discussion to play the Chill and hold the Ice Vein, because I get to develop the Chill. I do basically the same thing. I just Arsenal the Snap and hold the Ice Vein. But I think I like this. The goal is just to get chip damage, especially right now while he only has AB1 and I guess Quell 1, which I believe we will see here, or maybe he has the Respite on this turn. He's going to end up using his Silken Form very early, which is really, really smart, because these Ashwings are going to stick around for a very long time, probably for the rest of the game. So using Silken Form to turn it into an Ashwing is basically just, instead of taking like Null Rune Gloves, you just turn your Null Rune Gloves into a 1/1 that's probably going to stick around for most of the game. So he's just going to Quell super early and turn it into an Ashwing quite early. It's within the first couple turns. I don't know exactly which, or I don't remember exactly which turn. So yeah, Oasis Respite. So then he pays the additional 1, stops that, and then I Moon for 2. And the goal is to just get early chip. Obviously that was not great at getting chip, but it was something. So I got the Cold Snap. I'm going to want to pop that pretty early on, probably, but it'll depend on what he does. As will I. An important thing to note in this matchup is that you cannot Cold Snap to freeze an ally if they try and go Invoke and then immediately attack. You don't have a window to try and freeze it, because in response to the invocation, there's no ally in existence, and then after it resolves, your opponent has first priority window to attack with it. So in this situation, I'm never actually going to be able to really freeze it. So my next thought is, okay, I'll save this Cold Snap, and I'm going to look for the pop here. So I imagine he's going to attack. No real reason not to. So we're going to take 1 Arcane and pop, and then we've got the 4 resources in hand to pay for Ice Bolt into Waning Moon, which I'm perfectly fine with. You don't have to play your arsenal every turn. I also did not have a great hand for it. He just pitches to make an Ash. So, depending on what your hand is, like in this situation, if this sigil was blue, there's a very strong argument to pitch to Cold Snap and Moon in response to his Furnace there. Because I do get the 3 damage in. However, since it's my only blue, there's a chance I draw another red, and then... Actually, if I draw another red, it's fine. Maybe I should have done it. I do like the tax, though. I think I was okay with that. I guess I could have pitched the sigil. No. Because I want to have some disruption in Arsenal whenever possible. Yeah. I think I like this. If this Sigil of Permafrost was a blue, I would have pitched that for the line last turn, and then hopefully Arsenal the Aether Hail. But I think this will be fine. So we're just coming in for 5. I think this is where he uses the Silken form. Again, like I said, I think it's really smart to use the Silken form here as Quell, because it just basically translates your Quell 1 into a walking Arcane Barrier 1, which is pretty good. And we moon for 2. And then he turns that into the Ashwing, and so now we're off to the dragons being in play, which 7 damage prior to any dragons, or with an empty board, is pretty good. Like, this is a pretty good start for me, but then obviously there's the Rake here. Looking at my hand, I realize I don't have a ton I can do. So I guess there's Amulet of Ice into other stuff. I do have my Tunic coming up, so I'm looking to... I think I want to pitch Frost Hex here to Cold Snap, and the idea is strictly to make sure he can't attack with these 4 Ashwings. 1 Frostbite stops that here. Ice Bolt's a reasonable option as well, but I think I prefer pitching the Frost Hex, and it's actually quite annoying that I drew the Popper, because I wanted him to. I want to be able to pop something, but it is what it is. So, does already have 4 Ashwings, which is where things get a little bit dicey, because you do want to be careful about letting them all hit, because obviously you can't block them efficiently. So the best way is to stop the turn when there's Ashwings. But I think this is probably just going to be an Amulet of Ice Waning Moon. There's also a discussion for Aether Hail and shoot, but yeah, no, I like this. Like, it crossed my mind to Hornet Peak instead, but there's no real reason. We don't want to tax him 1 resource, I want to tax him 2, or get damage. And yeah. Mai is annoying. So a notable thing here is if he had spent all of his resources, I would be able to fire the bolt or the Aether Hail to stop him from having his turn. But clearly he has 1 resource left, so he can pay through the Frostbite just fine. So we're kind of just gonna have to take this one to the face. He's smart and doesn't attack with the Thamai. Actually, it's interesting. I'm not sure that I think not attacking with Thamai is correct. I've got a 4-card hand. Sometimes you just have to say they don't have the Popper, because if I have the Popper, I can kill Thamai anyways. I'm actually unsure on that. I think attacking with Thamai might be more correct than people give it credit for. But this is just going to be a turn of... Or the Winter Spite was nice, because I get to Winter Spite into Command and Conquer into Waning Moon to use my entire hand. I commented on my opponent discarding instead of pitching there for the Winter's Bite, and he said he wanted fuel for the Burn Them All, which makes some sense. I think I like it. I don't know. It's definitely a discussion point. Because in this matchup, Dromai is going to struggle to keep reds in, or have reds in the discard. So I do still have... What's in my arsenal? And I accidentally I drew 3 instead of 4, and then I was like, oh, let's try that again to draw up to 4, and then I drew 4. Is this still the Cold Snap? No. I don't remember what's in Arsenal. I mean, I should hover it here in a second, but... Oh. Okay, it's the Aether Hail. He does have 2 resources. So I think this turn... This here was a mistake. My opponent has 2 resources floating, right? So he obviously has no use for them. So if I'm shooting this Aether Ashwing to stop his turn, there's no real need to Waning Moon afterwards, which means I should be holding, or I guess, let me rephrase that. If I shoot the Aether Ashwing pitching a blue, and then I Moon for 3, the Moon's only doing 1 damage because he's got spare resources. And I only have the 3-card hand, which is typically fine, but then, you have the Aether Ice Vein stuff, and then I Arsenal Blue. If I wait until my turn to do that, I just burn the Tunic for the Aether Hail here. I get to do Aether Ice Vein into Moon on my turn, which makes my Moon do an actual effective 2 damage, as opposed to the only effective 1 damage here. So I think I also put my Tunic on cooldown. Or, not cooldown, but you know what I mean. Yeah. But Tunic does its thing. We'll go with that. Yeah, so I think I actually prefer that line, because then I tax like an additional resource out of hand or an additional health. So you see me pitch the Hypothermia instead. I think I like this. He doesn't have that many dragons in play, to where Hypothermia is not like crazy value. I'll say another Oasis for Spite. He's pretty good at drawing those. But yeah, I definitely liked the Moon line better. So we got the Chroma. Chroma is a problem, because it gets around like the Hypothermias and stuff. So one notable thing here is that I do Cold Snap immediately, giving me the option of freezing the Yenderai. Obviously I can't freeze the Chromai for the interaction that I was talking about earlier. But this gives me the option of freezing Yenderai, so it does actually tax him effectively. Unfortunately, he had the blue. And we draw this. This was a weird little bit because I end up blocking with a Channel Lake Frigid here, which is pretty clear telegraph that I've got another one. Channel Lake Frigid is one of the strongest cards, if not the strongest card in the matchup. It translates to multiple turns of tempo. One thing I do here with this Waning Moon is... I know I'm planning on Waning Moon this turn, so I want to, if for some reason he had a different game plan, I wanted to be able to see that. I wanted him to give me information based on if he blocked Waning Moon or not. If he chose not to block the Waning Moon, I could get info that there's like a Kyloria or something. It's not a huge deal, but it is what it is. This is another Ice Bolt Tunic line, which I guess I wouldn't have had the Tunic up for this had I done the other line. But yeah, he tried to Flame Scale, which he cannot there. He just sigils and then Flame Scales. Going up 2 resources and he can block the Moon. Yeah. So actually this, spoiler, it does come back to bite me, that this blue stack that's going to be coming up. I do have the Channel Lake Frigid here, which seems pretty good. Yeah, Channel Lake Frigid is... I'm just debating if I actually want to do it here. Yeah, I think I do need to... No, because the Chroma doesn't have Go again. That was the thought process. So there's a discussion to not Channel Lake Frigid here and save it for a later turn. Because right now he's threatening a maximum of 6. And like I can throw some cards in and actually just Channel Lake Frigid on a later turn when he's actually threatening the full sweep. And if you can block out a turn without Channel Lake Frigid, like, feels pretty good. So I do that here. I just take 1 damage. It's interesting, he held the card in hand. I think that's a pretty good indicator that it's a blue. But if I can get the blue out of his hand here, I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so health totals are reasonable right now. There's the second red rake. He's got a lot of blues right now. So this is a really nice hand for developing channel, because I can already see how I'm channeling 2 here most of the time. So I pitch like the Blizzard to play the channel. Then on my turn I pitch the Chill for Aether, Hail, Moon. I also have the option of just blocking with the Hail and then pitching for Moon, but then I arsenal the Freezing Point, which is going to be, assuming I draw 2 ice cards, will be my way of getting 2 ice cards to keep channel around. So like this is the type of hand you want to see for getting a channel to 2. You want to try and find either a Freezing Point, an Aether Ice Vein, or an Ice Bolt for your second turn and put that in arsenal. Notably, I think Aether Ice Vein is probably the weakest of those. Obviously, you still go for it if you can, but you kind of just tax them heavier on the turn that they're already under Channel Lake Frigid. I like, if possible, if I get that Aether Ice Vein in arsenal and I have the option of playing something else to channel 2, I will. And so right on the turn that the channel's about to go away is when I like to fire that Aether Ice Vein. Just because they're like, I finally get to play. And then they don't, because Aether Ice Vein. So, yeah, we play the channel here. And so he's going to get to attack with 1 thing unless he wants to give up his arsenal, which I'm pretty okay with. So like I mentioned, there's the discussion of blocking with Aether Hail if I absolutely have to, but I'd rather fire 6 Arcane than make him pay 1. Like, to make him pay 1 or pay 6 versus my 3 health. And he chooses to play a second Dromai. Dromai is a problem, because our stuff like Frosting, Aether, or our Poppers, our Frostings, our Aether Hails, and our Ice Bolts don't actually stop turns when they have Dromai, effectively. I think there was a pretty strong argument for me to shoot a Dromai here. But yeah, especially while he's under Channel Lake Frigid, I think there's a really strong argument for me to shoot Dromai here, and I chose not to. I think that might have been a mistake. Because like he's just gonna pitch his hand to wait out the Channel Lake Frigid. So I might as well try and deal with the board there. And then I'd still Waning Moon for 2, but then he doesn't get full value out of a blue if he pitches a blue. So yeah, I think shooting a Dromai there was correct. But it is what it is. Yeah, Dromai is definitely your top priority as far as popping and killing with Aether Hails and Ice Bolts. So I do still have the Freezing Point in arsenal. I need to save 2 blues, and I want that Channel Lake Frigid, which means my Ice Eternal is my spare card. this was annoying, but I know that Thamai is actually not that bad when I have a Channel Lake Frigid, because their damage is already capped for a turn, right? Because they can only attack with so many dragons. So, also Freezing Point can't target dragons, so I can't even kill the Thamai if I wanted to. So I am going to Freezing Point. There is a very small discussion to, what's the word? Very small discussion to Amulet of Ice here. I'm also going to, I know I'm pitching the Hypothermia, so I'm just going to reveal it, so he has to think that I have the option of Amulet of Ice, which obviously I do. Sometimes if you're trying to hide that information as to what's in your arsenal, you may not fuse the Freezing Point, but yeah, in this case, phase 2 there, I think there was a... Yeah, there's a discussion to Amulet. No, there's no discussion to Amulet here, because he cannot play on that turn, regardless, because he couldn't play a red. So he decides to pitch for Semblance, and we get the channel up to 2, which just makes him have to pass back. So that's quite big. We drew the Ice Bolt. It's really big. So he tried to go to Arsenal, but that was my turn. So he drew up, so now it's my turn. So I like having these amulets stocked up for later, when as I was going to say, when the board gets out of control. The board's out of control, but for a turn where I actually need a way to stop his hand, and I don't have an answer to stop his turn in Arsenal. But yeah, we're just going to go ahead and shoot him and be ready to start playing my next, what's the card in Arsenal? Channel Lake Frigid. So this board is kind of a ticking time bomb. It's like that meme of like the soldier holding back, or whatever, the guy holding it back. That's what this is. This Channel Lake Frigid is holding back this army of dragons from killing me. So I need to find an answer to it soon. And there's the third Chroma. I'm not happy about this, because my poppers don't stop his turn. This is another interesting turn that I think I screwed up. So I think the correct play is to pop 2 Chromais, and then face tank the remaining 12. I know that sounds wild, but it deals with 2 Chromais and makes stopping turns a lot easier in the future, and also pushes my Channel Lake Frigid a turn back. Because right now, I do end up... I think I'm going to debate it a little bit, but I do end up pitching the Fighting Spirit to channel, and then I pop one of the Chromais, but I still take a decent amount of damage. Yeah, I take quite a bit of damage. I think it ends up being 6, 9. I could have just taken the full 12. Obviously, he could have had more cards in hand, and it might have ended up being a little bit more. But I think I needed to let through the Ashwings on this turn, just to make sure his Chromai count got down to 2. And then it's much... I kill the third Chromai, and then I'm able to effectively stop his turns again. So we discussed a little bit about Furnace, and like how he wants to layer that, because that is one thing that Dromais can do, is if you're giving them a full grip on a Channel Lake Frigid turn, they can just pitch a bunch of cards. Like, they can pay to attack, and then pay to play a card, pay to Furnace, go up to 3 resources, and then they get to start spending those on attacks. They kind of get to generate like an extra resource if they have a lot of reds. So yeah, he's just debating what he wants to do in response to this channel. So that was in response to invoke Dromai, right? I don't even remember at this point. Yeah. Okay, so I do end up popping the first one when he attacks with it. Second one, oh, yeah. So I guess he did pitch all 3 to do the furnace. So he would be able to get 3 attacks, and I take 6 instead of the 12 that I was planning on. Let me actually look back. What was that hand? Uvia, Sweeping Blow, and a Sigil, all red. So he does end up getting to play the Sigil and probably the Sweeping Blow. So I probably take 15. Ugh, 15's a lot. But killing 2 Chromas is pretty good. Yeah, I'm not sure. It also I guess we'll get to see what it looks like with channel out for an extra turn. And then here, it's another situation where I've got the big red spell, which is nice for the second channel, channel. So this is fine, but like I said, I do need to find a way to deal with these Chromas. And while the board is a little bit rough, I'm making pretty good headway on his health total. Another thing to note is he's playing this very, very slowly, which is good. Because the game becomes very hard if he gets to his pitch stack with all blues. And he knows that, so. Yep, and I can't do anything there. He plays the Burn Them All. Plays his Chroma, which we get to pop another Chroma, which I'm very happy with. And then this should be his last resource. I end up taking 3. Yeah. Oh, he pitched again. Yeah, so that's gonna hurt. Yeah, you know it's a rough time when your opponent is having issues organizing all of the dragons that are in play. I mean, it's also just kind of this matchup. That's how it goes. But we do get to come in for 5. The fuse here gives me the option of if I want to amulet again. But like I mentioned before, the amulets are ideally there for a turn where I'm lacking in disruption. And right now, Channel Lake Frigid being in play is enough. We've seen 2 Sigils, 2 Oasis, and a Prayer. Those are kind of the scary cards for us. Yeah. And he says, I don't want to take damage. So he doesn't need to. He takes 1 and he's like, alright, we'll like wipe this turn, and that's fine. And so this was another awkward turn where he was just going to be passing back, and I had to decide how I wanted to approach it. So I think I want to hold on to this Hypothermia, but in order for this... So he gives me a window here to... when he has no cards for me to just get a little bit of damage in. So I do end up taking that, because my hand isn't great otherwise. I want to arsenal this Hypothermia, and so the other thing was going to be pitch a blue for an Aether Hail, which means I had a spare blue, so I might as well take the 3 damage there while I could. Let me just come in for 4 more. Oh, no, I shoot it at the Dromai. Yes, I shoot it at the Dromai because I have a Hypothermia. That makes a lot of sense. Smart. Good job, past me. And yes, I did just compliment past me. I think I was supposed to be clearing out that Dromai a few turns ago, but I made up for it now. Yep, and we drew the popper, which is really, really nice. The hand is a little bit awkward, obviously, but we get to pop and then just freezing point for 5. Obviously, if we can't fuse it, we're casting the freezing point instead of the Sigil of Permafrost. But yeah, getting to pop this was really nice. I do take the Arcane still. Actually, so I'm looking at it going, I don't have a use for my Tunic this turn. I don't know when I'm going to have the next use for my Tunic, but it's making it to at least 2 comfortably. So I'm going to just use it now, save the health on the Arcane Barrier, and then it will make it back to 2 before I need it, I think. So there's a pretty reasonable chance that it makes it all the way to 3 before I actually need it. So we Tunic, save the health there. And then we get to pop, which popping Yandere is always fun. I think he did make a mistake there. I think he's supposed to be starting with the Ashwings. Actually, no. It's very debatable, because if he comes in with Ashwings, they get popped by Frosting, Aether Hail, or Ice Bolt. Or a Popper, as opposed to the Yandere, which only gets hit by Poppers. So, yeah. There's another prayer. He does reveal the blue, though. So that's a small win. And he's realizing he forgot his trigger. So that's preventing 3. And so another interesting thing here is he has a pretty good indicator that, based off previous play patterns, that there would be a moon coming afterwards. So I think if he had a blue in hand, he may have pitched it, or he may have used it, rather. Because he would have expected to be able to block 2 there and then 1 more on the moon. So I think that's a pretty good indicator that he doesn't have a blue. However, it obviously doesn't really matter here. So he plays that, and then Yandere, I get to pop it again. It's great fun. And obviously I need this entire hand. So I'm still taking 2. These Burn Them Alls are going to get scary pretty soon. Oh, he pitches the Oasis for Spite for Furnace. Like I said, I think it was a... Yeah, I was pretty sure that it was a red. I think there was also a discussion here for him to count his reds and possibly let his Burn Them All with 4 stacks die, just so that the other Burn Them All would stay longer. But because later on in the game he starts having issues because he ends up burning so many red cards with the one that's on 4 counters now. So I think choosing to let it die would be good. Stupid Irina's Prayer again. So it's preventing 5 currently, and I didn't stop and take the time to math this out, and I don't know if it's correct or not. I do still have the Hypothermia in Arsenal, so I don't have to be that afraid. Yeah, and there's no Chromais left. I think burning the Amulets was wrong here, because I do still have the Hypothermia. But we go ahead and Amulet. Pull a red, Amulet. The idea was to get him to use those 2 floating resources. Then I get to Moon for 2, which will try and eat the Irina's Prayer, which means he has to pay 2 here. Yeah, so it eats the prayer. So now he has to pitch, and he had a yellow. It needed to be a yellow or a blue, otherwise he'd lose the remainder of his hand, which would then translate to me being able to hold my Hypothermia comfortably. Now there's a chance that he has a red, but Regardless, this lets me hold my hypothermia. Oh, no, it doesn't, because he had the red. That's what I was playing around. So him playing the Asvali means that I have to play the hypothermia now. He mentions that he thinks he should have arsenaled the Asvali and just played the an Ashwing attack and just look to pass, which it was. I think it's debatable. In this situation, it worked out better that he played the Asvali, but it is what it is. So I get 3 free damage in there, which is pretty nice. However, I now have to be worried about dealing with his board. I obviously see this Ice Bolt as a pretty good opportunity to deal with his board. So my Tunic goes to 3 here, and I think I just pitch the Red Sigil to shoot an Aether Hail for 2 at him. That would make the most sense to me. I will have the Bolt for the Asvali next turn. Because again, every time I'm looking at these hands at this stage of the game is how am I stopping his turn? Because if I can't stop his turn, I'm going to die. So, Aether Hail for 2. I'm trying to just find some tall spells to push through some damage. I think he ends up... It's weird, I think this is the first time I've seen a Dromai I've played against hit their pitch stack. Normally I'm able to kill them prior to that. I think him having the prayers and quite a few blues, as well as the Oasis Respites being pretty well timed, I think that played into it, but I'm not 100% sure. This game also went a lot slower than my games normally do, and again, I think that comes down to the prayers and the Respites that were stopping a lot of my big damage. So here I have to kill this during a layer step, and I'm kind of annoyed that I just drew all blues. I don't think I'm at my pitch. Like I said, I've never actually hit my pitch in this matchup, so I don't know, maybe I am. Maybe that's why I couldn't find a red damage spell here. Let me actually look at that. Frost Hex, Blizzard, Ice Bolt, Aether Hail. Ace Eternal. Oh wait, I only played 1 red sigil into him, I think. Yeah, so I am at my pitch. Yeah, because I only played the 1 red sigil. And 1 blue sigil. So there's the Aether Hail, there's the sigil, this will be the Frost Hex, and the Ice Bolt, possibly? Yeah, there's the Ice Bolt, there's the Frost Hex. Yeah, so I am at my pitch. Interesting. That would explain why it was so difficult to find a red damage spell at the end, because I was out of them. Where are we? Yeah, it's right around here. Yeah, that's bad. Where'd all my red bolts go? Did they all go face and he was just able to stop them? Was he just able to fatigue me? Or almost. Wow, I feel like kind of an idiot not realizing that we hit her pitch stack there. So we get to end the turn early. I'm not burning my Tunic resource here, obviously, because he's got spare cards in hand. And that made her Frostbite. And he played the burn them all this turn. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't think I took out any real damage. Interesting. So he pitches here to Furnace, which was definitely a mistake because I get to respond with Moon before his resources resolve. And I think... Did I use the two? Yeah, and I think I do use the Tunic here. Get him to 8, which is really nice. But yeah, I think him playing like this more of a fatigue plan is actually proving pretty effective. Again, I don't think a lot of Dromais are on Respite. Or not Respite, Arena's Prayer. But it's been putting in a lot of work for him here. Burn them all triggers. Again, I think he could have kept a few more reds in the grave by letting the burn them all that was on 4 die a little bit sooner. I think that might help, but I'm not sure. And then he DC'd there, so. My turn is just going to be pitch the Blue Blizzard, Aether Hail. We're coming in for 2 and 2. I do leak 2, which is nice. Arsenal the Bolt. And then this was a pretty major mistake I make here. One, I should have identified that he's at his pitch. I should have identified I'm at my pitch. But what ends up happening here is... Well, I guess we'll just play it out. I know he's on 6. He plays the Asvali. I have enough damage to threaten 7. Red Ice Bolt, or sorry, Blue Ice Bolt, Metacarpus Nodes, plus Waning Moon. So what I think I'm supposed to... No, actually, I think I did... barring one of the cards I pitched, I played this right. Actually, I wonder... what would have happened if I tried to Blizzard him on this attack? That was... Oh, fast forward is by 30, got it. Okay, so... Ice Bolt. Metacarpus Node always triggers in response, same way as Iyslander, so I get to order those. I'm going to order Node... let me think. So I'm keeping them both unresolved. And... yeah, so this kills him if he has a red. I'm trying to figure out if I had a better way to... If I just bolt, he never attacks through the Frostbite. And I also wouldn't have a good opportunity to note it. And pitching this Blizzard was bad because if he has the blue, all of these dragons come through. So the reason I did do it this way, however, Waning Moon, if he... Let's see. Waning Moon is always going to hit for 3 because he doesn't want to give me the information on the color of the card in his hand. So I don't know about, or he shouldn't give me information on the color of the card in his hand, so I don't know if I'm supposed to note or not. So Waning Mooning first, or rather, he doesn't want me to know what color card is in his hand until the bolt hits. Does this matter? No, because he's always taking 3. Never mind, there's no big brain play here. It doesn't really matter. However, pitching this Blizzard was very bad. And I realize that, like, right about now. So right now I'm representing 7 Arcane. However, I forgot that he can prevent... what's it called? Also, sorry, another thing to note is that if I note it, it kills him if he has a yellow in hand. If I don't note it, it kills him if he has a red in his hand. If I... do node, yeah. So the only difference it makes here is whether or not he has a red or a yellow, or if he has a yellow in hand, I think, right? Actually, no, if he has a red, I kill him with the node. Huh. So maybe I am supposed to note it here regardless and hope it's a red? But then if it's a blue or a yellow... I don't think I could... Yeah, so I said I think I die if you have a blue in hand, and he tells me he has the blue. which then I realize I don't die, which was actually ends up being pretty bad form. I realized afterwards that it wasn't that case. If I node, it takes me to 1, and then I'm gonna really struggle to live. I don't know. I think I should have just lost the game here off the blue. However, no, because if he has the red, I think I'm okay not noding it, because then this still stops the turn. So we discuss like what information he should be giving me here and such. But I think I was supposed to save the blizzard. I think there was also a very strong argument for me to wait until he attacked with the Esvalide blizzard. Or rather, let him attack with the Esvalide and then just blizzard. And then just try and be able to play stuff proactively on my turn, but like my turn isn't proactive. So I'm not actually sure how I get through this last few points. I think this was my best window to get through those last couple points. And unfortunately he did have it, so... And yet, had I saved the blizzard, I would have not taken all this damage, and I would have gotten to hold a little bit more. So I think... Yeah, that ending sequence is really interesting, because I'm not sure where I'm supposed to... what I'm supposed to do there. Either way, I ended up blocking going to 1. He comes in, and I get a hypo in Arsenal. So, important note here is that I do have the blizzard, so I get to blizzard him here. Make him pay, go to... Yeah, he's got another blue. And... I was supposed to hypothermia here. I'm supposed to hypothermia here? And make him pay 2. Yeah. Yep, that was the mistake here. Actually, no, I don't have enough resources. No, I don't have enough resources to node the frosting if I do it that way. Right, because of a hypothermia there, he pays... Yeah, so we'd have to pay 2 to attack with the Asvali. And he has nothing. I need to be able to represent 5 through a blue. And unfortunately, I'm 1 resource short. Yeah, if only I had Tunic. Yeah, but then, so if I play the Hypo and he still attacks, he would have been down 1 more resource. He would have had no resources, and then I get to, pitch to... Wait, no, no, yeah. 4 damage is the best I can do here. So I could try and live through this turn, or try and kill him, assuming it's a red, which, had I better remembered pitch, I would have known it wasn't. But I would have been able to frosting for 1, moon for 3 is 4, yeah, and I would have died to a blue there. But I get to block this out, is what it is. Yep, so I do draw the popper here, which is nice, I suppose. Billowing for 1 is a lot right now. So I block the arcane and I get to pop, go to 2. There might have been a... Was I supposed to arsenal the... I might have been supposed to arsenal the, whatever it's called. Insidious Chill? Or not, Ice Eternal. And then I block the Arcane with that. And then drawing up this hand, I get to... Oh, actually... Yeah, that's actually really interesting. So, had I arsenaled the Ice Eternal here, he starts out his turn playing the Kyloria, pitching a blue. So, okay. I wouldn't have played an Ice Eternal there. Could have played Kyloria and then just attacked with Kyloria. And then my line becomes Ice Eternal. Okay, 2, 4, 6, 2. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so what I could do if this was an Ice Eternal in Arsenal, not the amulet, is we would go, he attacks, and I immediately go Ice Eternal. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, no, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, yeah. So Ice Eternal X equals 1. Then respond to it with Storm Strider's Bolt, and then Moon, and then I have enough resources to node both of them. So we get Moon for 3, Bolt for 4, and then Ice Eternal for 3. 3, 4, 3 is 10, and he's on 2, with 1 floating. Actually, he would have been on... Yeah, he would have had 8 resources total, assuming these are blues, and I could have done 10 here. So if I pitched the other card, I win this game. That's frustrating. But instead, I'm only able to do 7 here. And he ends up having exactly 7 resources. Yeah, I don't... I mean, I think there were mistakes on both sides, but obviously I went for this. I see 1 resource floating and I can come in for 4. So I just need it to be a red in hand, and obviously it's a blue. Yeah, so just to recap where that mistake was... Because I think that does end up costing me the game by quite a bit. Yeah, because I'm just blocking the Arcane there. And we pop. So I do get to arsenal the Ice Eternal. Like I said, he plays Kyloria as his only red. Which, that's the other thing, is he's also low on reds. If I'd recognize he's on his pitch, like... Is there a world where he just runs out of reds and just can only attack once per turn? It still probably kills me, because I can't do anything about it. So yeah, so he's on 2 resources floating on this line where this is an Ice Eternal and Arsenal, because obviously he doesn't have to pay through the Frostbite. Ice Eternal paying 2, I guess we'll pitch... Wait. Yeah, 9 resources, right? Yeah, 9 resources, and we're playing the Bolt. So we pitch the Cold Snap. Let me... Actually... Might screw up the entire recording here. Give me a sec. No, this is fine. Alright, so we'll hide that. Let me just pull up TTS, because I have it window recording right now, which is why I don't know what's on there. I'll bust out the TTS. Alright. Cool. So let me... Ooh, browser. I need my deck list. I don't think there's... Please don't make me re-record this. No, there's nothing special there. Grab a deck list. It's getting very scuffed very quick. So we had this, we got a waning moon, we got striders. This we had, I think it was like Frost Hex, an Ice Bolt, Ice Eternal. It doesn't really matter, it was just more blues. I think there was a Cold Snap in there, so we'll grab that. We had that. And we had Metacarpus Node. Right, so that's an arsenal. And the line, this is gone. So the line is just Ice Eternal, pitching, fusing, equaling 1. And then grab Frostbites. And then responding to the Insidious Chill, or sorry, Metacarpus Node triggers. I'm not going to pay yet. I've got 1 float. We respond here by pitching, or I guess we don't have to pitch. No, or Striders. Then we pitch to Bolt. Let me clone that, because then Node triggers again here. Wait, did I not have enough resources? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Can I just not count? Okay, 3 here. 3 more here. Oh no, that's fine. Wait. Did I already pay for... Okay, Ice Eternal. Not paying for the node yet. 1 float. Spend the 1 float on the Storm Striders. Play the Bolt, pitching. Why do I have a node in my hand? So now I have 1 float. Yeah. And then we pitch Waning Moon for 3, and actually there's a Iyslander trigger here as well. And now I should have 2 resources floating. And then it goes, this resolves for 3. Iyslander triggers, makes a Frostbite. Node, I'm gonna pay. So then this is for 4, because Bolt plus 1. Then Ice Eternal makes this go up to 2 Frostbites, and then sees it, and then we pay the node triggers another 3. And that would have been the 10 that we needed to win that game. Because he only had 8 resources available, and he was on 2. Unfortunate. But that's fine. I think there were a couple of windows where like he got greedy pitching for Ash that cost him 2 health. Or 3 health. There were a couple of windows where he could have avoided a little bit more damage, but like that game was winnable. I don't know why I decided to play the amulet. If I looked in my... Yeah, there's no reason to play the amulet there, because I think the thought process was that I would be able to strip another card out of his... Or I'd make him pay 1 extra resource through a Frostbite and then go for the kill. But the thing is, if I'm planning on stridering in an ice card, that Ice Eternal is just free 1 extra damage, and it can potentially be even more if I have spare resources, which I needed to pay better attention to the pitch, but overall that's a pretty good example of how these games go. I think my opponent played it really well. A lot of my Dromai games aren't actually that close. They aren't able to keep the pressure, or they die too quickly before they're able to establish a board. But my opponent was able to stop a lot of the damage while still developing a board. He was very conservative with his health, because that is my win condition. I mean, it sounds dumb, but dealing damage is my win condition. The longer the game goes, the worse it is for me. So as a result, the longer it goes for him, the better it is. So he took most of his opportunities to mitigate damage while still threatening a reasonable amount and still developing the board. So, yep, that's the video. I punted. Well, no, it happens. Alright. Thanks for watching.